Ever feel like you're just wading through endless advice looking for that one thing, that shortcut maybe, to really figure out how to unlock your potential? Well, today we're doing a deep dive into something that claims to be just that. Napoleon Hill's classic, Law of Success.
It's a fascinating piece of work, really, and the story behind it is almost as compelling as the ideas themselves.
Right. It started way back in 1908. Napoleon Hill, just a young writer then, gets this assignment to interview Andrew Carnegie, the steel guy.
Yeah, the Andrew Carnegie.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And what was supposed to be, I guess, a short interview, it turns into this 3-day marathon session. And Carnegie basically throws down this challenge to Hill. Can you organize a universal philosophy of success based on the habits of successful people?
And Hill took him up on it. A 20-year project just based on that challenge. Quite something. And what's really key about Law of Success is Hill wasn't claiming to invent everything brand new. His real genius was taking, old truths and known laws and making them practical, usable, and it wasn't just theory. People like F.W. Woolworth, Samuel Gompers, even President Woodrow Wilson, they saw the value in it. They were impressed by Hill's sheer persistence.
So our plan for this deep dive is to really unpack each of these core lessons, these chapters, one by one. Give each idea the space it deserves, and importantly, think about how you, the listener, might actually use these principles right now. Sound good?
Sounds great. Let's jump in.
Okay, so first up, the mastermind. It sounds a bit mystical, doesn't it? What's the core idea?
It does sound a bit out there at first, yeah. But at its heart, it's about a harmonious alliance. 2 or more minds working together in perfect harmony. Hill actually proposed that when this happens, a sort of third mind, a collective intelligence, is created.
A third mind, so more than just teamwork.
Exactly. It goes beyond just collaboration. It's like synergy. But Hill saw it as almost a separate entity, this blended mind power you could tap into for, much bigger achievements, far ahead of its time, really.
Okay, so it's not just getting smart folks in a room. It's about the harmony, the connection. The book talks about businesses needing pleasing personalities. How does that tie into the mastermind?
Well, Hill believed that the collective personality of the people behind the business is what really determines its success. A mastermind, because it is harmonious, naturally creates this positive, influential personality. He used terms like mind chemistry, these vibrations.
Mind chemistry, huh?
Yeah, it sounds a bit woo, maybe, but think about it. You walk into a place, you can feel the vibe, right? Tension or positivity.
Totally.
Hill thought that was a real force, that collective energy shaping things, for good or bad.
Right. Which brings up a point. If minds blend positively, can they also clash negatively? Does he talk about, negative people messing up the mastermind?
Oh, absolutely. He warns pretty strongly about it. An extremely negative mind, he said, can completely block that blending needed for a mastermind. Lack of harmony. He called it the first and often the last and only cause of failure. Big claim.
Wow. So it applies everywhere, not just business.
Yeah, he saw it in everything, from partnerships failing to even huge things like Woodrow Wilson's struggles with the League of Nations, a failure of mastermind cooperation in Hill's view.
Okay, so give us a solid example. Where did this mastermind thing really work?
Well, Carnegie himself is the prime example Hill uses. His core group of advisors, they formed such a powerful mastermind that Hill thought they could have succeeded in almost anything. Steel was just an incident, he said, secondary to their collective power.
That's incredible. A business was secondary.
Right, and you see it in more everyday examples, too, like a car dealership agent Hill knew. He grouped his salespeople into pairs.
Just pairs.
Just pairs, creating these little micro masterminds, and boom, sales records started breaking. Simple change, powerful principle.
So, pulling this together for someone listening, what's the takeaway for their own goals?
It really suggests that you should consciously seek out and build these harmonious alliances. It's not just networking, it's finding people you truly click with, whose minds complement yours. That organized, synergistic effort, whether for health, wealth, or whatever your aim is, that's where the real leverage is.
Okay, so you've got this idea of collaborative power, the mastermind. Hill then immediately pivots to the individual's focus. A definite chief aim. Sounds like just having a goal. He makes it sound much bigger than that.
Oh, it is. He calls it the absolute foundation of personal power. It's purpose. to save the wasted effort most people spend just drifting. Without it, you're like that ship that has lost its rudder, just lost at sea. And he claimed, what was it, 95% of failures lacked this definite aim.
95%.
Wow. It's not just having an aim, it's making it concrete, dominant, the thing you keep coming back to.
Okay, and here's the part that really jumped out at me. He doesn't just say have the aim, he says write it down and get others to sign it. Why that specific action?
That's such a key practical step, isn't it? Writing it down makes it real, tangible, takes it out of your head and puts it onto paper. And having your allies, your mastermind partners maybe, sign it. That locks in their commitment, their hearty accord, as he put it.
Right.
It reinforces the mastermind idea, and it really programs your own mind, both conscious and subconscious, through that consistent affirmation and external validation. It builds belief.
He uses some great historical examples here, too.
He does. Henry Ford, for instance, knew exactly the kind of car he wanted to build way before it was a reality. Or Helen Keller, concentrating everything on learning to speak against impossible odds. Marshall Field, building his retail empire, all driven by a clear, definite aim.
It connects to that acres of diamonds idea, too, right? Opportunity being right where you are.
Exactly. Russell Conwell's lecture. You don't always need to look far away. Sometimes the biggest opportunity is right where you stand if you have the definite aim to see it.
Looking at this lesson, what's a real aha moment for you? Something particularly useful for listeners?
I think it's the examples of seeing potential others miss.
Mm-hmm.
Like the uneducated guy turning useless land into a tourist spot with log cabins. Genius.
Yeah.
Or Laura Brody spotting the need for bread machine cookbooks when they first came out. Or, the classic Jobs and Wozniak seeing the personal computer when IBM didn't. It shows that a definite aim, plus that keen observation and imagination we'll talk about later, that's what unlocks hidden value. It lets you see what others can't.
Okay, so you've got your definite chief aim, that guiding star. But, life happens. Doubt creeps in, obstacles pop up. How do you keep that belief strong? That leads us right into self-confidence, which Hill calls a deadly weapon against fear. What are the big fears he's talking about?
He lays out 6 basic ones he believed affect pretty much everyone. Fear of poverty, old age, criticism, losing love, ill health, and death. He thought these came from our heredity, both physical and social. But the key thing, self-confidence is the antidote. It lets you face them, analyze them, and stop them from controlling you.
And he goes pretty far, suggesting our thoughts can actually make us sick, like fear causing ill health. How does self-confidence fight that?
It's all about deliberately directing your thoughts. That's where autosuggestion comes in again. It's like consciously programming your subconscious. You persistently hold that desire, that belief in your mind, repeating it, feeling it, until it takes root and starts expressing itself.
Like that salesman story.
Exactly. The ad salesman who landed impossible accounts just by repeating his goal, 100 times a day? That's direct application. Training your mind to achieve the aim, overriding the fear.
So it's internal programming. But how does that internal feeling or lack of it affect how others see us?
Hill's idea is that you're constantly broadcasting what you think of yourself, like radio waves. If you lack faith, others subconsciously pick that up. They might even mistake your lack of confidence for their own judgment of you. It pushes them away.
Well, interesting.
But if you project genuine self-confidence, that attracts people. They sense it, they trust it, they want to cooperate. It makes success way more likely.
Beyond just thinking positive thoughts, did he suggest any other, maybe surprising ways to build this confidence?
Yeah, one thing that stands out is the emphasis on a supportive partner, especially a spouse. He felt a spouse could inspire greater effort than almost anyone. And he includes that creed written by a successful man's wife. I believe in myself. I believe in those who work with me. I will get out of life exactly what I put into it.
That's powerful.
It really is. It shifts the focus from needing outside approval to building that rock-solid inner conviction, reinforced through belief and repetition.
Okay, aim set, confidence building. Now we need action. Which brings us to initiative and leadership. This isn't just about following orders, is it?
Definitely not. It's the opposite. It's about doing what ought to be done without being told to do it. Proactive. Hill actually sorts people by how much initiative they show, from those who always act down to those needing constant watching. It's about actively driving towards your aim, not just wishing for it, taking charge.
His own story about funding his school is a great example of this, right? He didn't just ask for money.
Right. He needed, $25,000? Didn't have it. But he did have his course material. So his initiative was to create a plan. He went to a business college and proposed setting up his course as a new self-funding department within their college.
Smart. Win-win.
Exactly. It benefited them. It launched his school. That wasn't luck. It was a clear aim, a clever plan, and the initiative to make it happen. He essentially took over a business by creating value first.
Does he give any, daily exercises for building this initiative habit?
He does. 3 simple things. 1, do one specific thing each day that needs doing without being asked. 2, find one valuable thing you can do for someone else just because, no expectation of payment. And 3, tell at least one person every day about why this habit is so valuable. It's like building a muscle, making it automatic.
I also found it interesting how he connects leadership directly to the leader's own character.
That's such a crucial point. Your company will be the reflection of yourself. He hammers that home. Leaders have to be the example. Self-sacrifice, fairness, moral courage. You can't just talk the talk. The team mirrors who you really are, not just what you say.
That Lumberport Bridge story really drives this home, too. Initiative in action.
Oh, it's a fantastic story. 10 years, this town couldn't get a streetcar line because of this bridge issue. Nobody could solve it. Hill comes in, an outsider, refuses to accept. It can't be done. He pulls everyone together, town folks, county officials, the railroad, the streetcar company.
A lot of different interests there.
Totally. And he figures out a plan where each group pays just 1/3 of the cost. Gets it done. That's leadership through initiative, seeing the path, unifying people, finding the common ground.
Okay, so action is key, but where did the innovative ideas come from? That takes us to imagination. Hill calls it the creative power of the soul. And he says something powerful. No one can deprive you of the control and use of your imagination. What's the weight of that?
It means it's your ultimate inner sanctuary. Completely untouchable. Even if you're in the worst possible situation, like Lee Hunt writing poetry in prison, your imagination is still free. It's always there, ready for you to use for growth, for problem solving, no matter what's happening outside. It's your superpower.
And the mastermind concept seems to weave back in here too. Harmonious thought leading to creativity.
Yes, exactly. Imagination flourishes in that collaborative, harmonious environment. 2 or more minds bouncing ideas, seeing connections. Hill stressed that imagination isn't always about creating something totally new from scratch. Often, its real power is rearranging old ideas into new combinations, seeing the familiar in a new light.
Can you give us some examples of that rearrangement from the book?
Sure. Clarence Saunders didn't invent food or stores. He saw the cafeteria self-help model and thought, hey, why not apply that to groceries? And boom, Piggly Wiggly. Or Stenberg and Kahn, with Staples applying the supermarket model to office supplies. Even Edison's light bulb really was combining existing principles in a novel way. Makes you wonder, doesn't it? What old ideas are sitting around in your life waiting to be combined in a new way?
That's a great question. The story about the prisoner B and how Hill got him released, that really shows imagination and persuasion, doesn't it?
Oh, it's a masterclass. Hill didn't go begging for mercy for B. No. He used his imagination to paint a picture for the governor. He framed B's release as an opportunity for the governor to start a prison correspondence school, improve lives, look good publicly, create a positive legacy. He appealed entirely to the governor's self-interest and vision. That's imagination crafting the perfect sales pitch.
Focusing on the other person's win. That seems key, and businesses use this all the time.
Constantly. Josie Notori turning lingerie from just underwear into a luxury experience. Marshall Field selling trust and atmosphere, not just stuff. Or even the fruit seller making simple fruit look like art in a basket and charging more. They're all using imagination to tap into deeper desires, status, beauty, trust, beyond just the physical product.
Okay, from the power of the mind, we move to enthusiasm. Hill calls it the mainspring of the mind. How does it do more than just make work feel better?
He argues it literally energizes your entire body. It makes hard work feel less difficult, less tiring. You can actually do more without burning out. And crucially, he believed it's contagious, like really contagious.
He mentions mental telepathy here. What did he mean by that in relation to enthusiasm?
Yeah, that term sounds a bit out there today, but what he was describing was how your own strong enthusiasm creates this high rate of alliteration. He thought others nearby could literally pick up on it, like when you feel that connection with an audience when you're on rapport. He saw that as this vibrational connection fueled by enthusiasm. It's about the tangible energy you project.
His own story about getting book endorsements really shows this in action, doesn't it? Enthusiasm plus smart communication.
It's a brilliant comparison. The first letter he sent failed miserably. Why? It was all about him. Help me. Look how many books I'll sell. Self-serving. The second letter. Totally different. It focused on the celebrity, offering them a chance to help earnest people struggling. It tapped into their desire to make a difference. Enthusiasm combined with understanding the other person's motivation. That's the key. Applies everywhere.
And it's not just about attitude. He even talks about clothing as a stimulus for enthusiasm. That's surprising.
It is, isn't it? But he really emphasizes the psychology of clothes. Looking prosperous, he argued, attracts positive attention because people want prosperity. It resonates. He even shares how buying better suits made him feel more self-reliant, which directly led to a publisher meeting and opportunities.
So it affects you internally, too.
Right. Even Edison's partner, Edwin Barnes, wore nice suits, mostly for the impression they have on me. It's about how feeling good on the outside can reinforce confidence and enthusiasm on the inside. Creates an upward spiral.
Okay, but enthusiasm without direction can be chaotic. So we need the balance wheel, as Hill calls it, self-control. This is about becoming the master of your fate. What's its core function?
Self-control is really about mastering your own inner world, your thoughts, your emotions. It's the ability to harness that imagination and enthusiasm we just talked about and point them squarely at your definite aim. Instead of letting your emotions run wild, you control them. It's key to avoiding destructive impulses like gossip, revenge, anger, things that derail you.
The story of the janitor is such a great illustration of this. Hill loses his temper.
Oh yeah, it's a classic. Hill's furious, just letting loose on this poor janitor, and the janitor just calmly says, "Why, you're just a little bit excited this morning, ain't you?"
Brilliant.
Completely disarmed him. Hill said that one encounter taught him the law of non-resistance and gave him a passkey to handling conflict, the sheer power of staying calm when someone else is losing it.
So, conversely, how does a lack of self-control show up and sabotage people?
Well, Hill points to things like chronic indecision, living beyond your means, always blaming others, letting negative thoughts just take over your mind. He really stresses that if you don't control your own thoughts, you basically leave the door open for everyone else to dump their negativity, their troubles and woes, adversities and falsehoods right into your head. You lose control of your own mental environment.
So self-control is fundamentally about protecting your mental space.
Exactly that. Hill argues it's the only thing you have absolute control over, your thoughts. By deliberately choosing positive, constructive thoughts, using that auto-suggestion technique again, you actively shape your reality. Think of Demosthenes overcoming his speech impediment, or Helen Keller learning to speak. That took incredible, unwavering self-control and focus.
And that Ben-Hur analogy really hammers home how struggle builds strength through this kind of discipline.
At the galleys or...
Right.
All that forced, grueling work built the physical power Ben-Hur needed to win his freedom later. It's a potent metaphor. Sometimes the challenges, even the ones you impose on yourself through discipline, are forging the exact strength you need for your biggest goals. Turns hardship into fuel.
Okay, shifting gears slightly. The next principle sounds simple, but the implications are huge. The habit of doing more than paid for. How does giving more lead to getting more, often disproportionately?
Hill's logic is that this habit automatically makes you stand out from the vast majority, the 98% he mentions, who only do the bare minimum or less. By consistently delivering more value than expected, more service than required, you become exceptional. And exceptional value naturally attracts greater opportunities, recognition, and rewards. It's the law of increasing returns applied to personal effort.
And Hill's own journey with Carnegie started this way, didn't it? Agreeing to that massive project for basically no pay up front.
It's the perfect embodiment of the principle. That 29-second decision to commit to a 20-year research project, funded only by introductions and travel costs, that's extreme, doing more than paid for. He went through immense hardship, a mountain of debts, but that very act of service built the foundation for everything that followed, eventually bringing him, as he put it, true happiness. The return wasn't immediate, but it was immense.
It's fascinating how modern figures echo this. Sam Walton at Walmart, for example.
Oh, absolutely. Walton's famous management principles, share your rewards, value your associates, deliver more than you promise. They are pure, doing more than paid for. He understood that if you treat your team exceptionally well, make them partners in the success, they'll give exceptional effort back. That created the loyalty and drive that built Walmart. As he said, individuals don't win, teams do.
And Marshall Field's customer is always right. Policy seems like another classic example.
Definitely. Taking back merchandise years later, no questions asked. From a purely short-term view, that's a loss. But Field was playing the long game. He knew that act of extreme service doing way more than required, generated priceless goodwill and word-of-mouth advertising. It built legendary customer loyalty that paid off massively over time. It was an investment.
All right, moving on. In today's world, maybe more than ever, this next lesson feels vital. Accurate thinking. Separating actual facts from just noise, from mere information. Why is that so crucial?
It's absolutely critical. Hill was writing this in the 1920s, and he was already warning about needing to actively seek out facts, because just passively absorbing information leads to flawed thinking. He pointed out media bias even then, like the different stories about how penicillin was discovered. Without accurate facts, your judgment is off, your decisions are weak, and your definite chief aim is basically built on shaky ground. You risk everything.
That's a sobering thought. How does this apply to how we view people, maybe competitors or people we disagree with?
The accurate thinker, Hill says, strives to see facts, not the delusions of prejudice, hate, and envy. It requires being fair enough to actively look for virtues as well as faults, even in an adversary. He argues this approach, seeking objective truth, even if it doesn't immediately serve your interests, ultimately puts you ahead. Because, as he put it, I cannot afford to deceive myself. Bias clouds your own judgment.
Now, Hill connects accurate thinking to something more profound. Infinite intelligence. What's that about?
This is where Hill gets a bit more metaphysical, but it ties back. He's asking, where do truly creative breakthrough ideas come from? He suggests there's this spiritual plane, maybe a universal consciousness that our minds can tap into through focused creative thought. You plant your definite chief aim firmly in mind, use autosuggestion to impress it on the subconscious. And then he believed solutions, insights, manifestations related to that aim start to flow towards you from this infinite intelligence. It's about aligning your focused mind with a larger source of wisdom.
And he makes another striking claim related to this. The mind that made you sick can also make you well. How does accurate thinking play into that?
It links directly back to autosuggestion and the power of belief. Remember the woman who believed she had cancer and developed symptoms?
Right.
Hill's point is, if negative, inaccurate thoughts fueled by fear can literally create physical illness, then positive, accurate thoughts, consciously chosen and focused upon, can direct your body towards health. It's about taking control of the dominating thoughts that shape your physical reality. Accurate thinking leads to healthier internal programming.
Okay, from thinking accurately, we move to focusing that thought. Concentration. Hill calls this a keystone and a magic key. What gives it that kind of power?
Concentration is simply the ability to hold your mind on one single subject until you fully grasped and explored it. It's about digging deep. He talks about creating mental paths. The more you focus on something with persistence and enthusiasm, the easier it becomes to think about it, the deeper your understanding gets. It's the engine that drives desire towards becoming reality. It focuses your mental energy.
And here's another fascinating bit. The idea that concentration actually attracts knowledge.
Yeah.
He mentions thought waves, the ether. What's going on there?
Yeah, this is one of his more, let's say, speculative ideas, but it's intriguing. He theorized that when you concentrate intensely on a desire, with real faith, your thoughts send out these waves. These waves, he thought, could somehow connect with similar thought waves or find relevant information stored in this universal ether like a cosmic database of all knowledge and experience.
So focused thought acts like a magnet.
Kind of. It's as if intense focus opens up channels, attracts relevant facts, insights, solutions from, well, everywhere. Whether it's literal ether or just priming your subconscious and intuition, the effect is that concentrated thought seems to draw necessary resources to you.
Does he give examples of this focused power in action?
Sure. Carnegie's mastermind was a form of intense collective concentration, Henry Ford zeroing in on his automobile design problems, and Cyrus H.K. Curtis, the publisher, pouring insane amounts of money and focus into saving the Saturday Evening Post. He concentrated all his resources and belief until he turned it around. Sheer willpower and focus.
So for someone listening, how can they use this? How do they develop their own concentration to attract what they want?
It comes back to that conscious direction of thought, deliberate repetition, visualization. Hill literally says, see yourself in possession of that money. See a picture of that home. See yourself before an enormous audience. You have to vividly picture and feel the desired outcome, repeatedly, with focused attention. That ability to concentrate your mental spotlight on your goal is, in Hill's view, the direct line to making it happen.
Okay, building on individual focus, we arrive at cooperation. Hill calls it the beginning of all organized effort, the source of group power. How is this different from just, people working on the same project?
The key word is harmonious. It's not just collaboration, it's a harmonious alliance where the combined effort creates something much greater than the individuals could achieve alone. Synergy again. He even uses the human body as the ultimate example. All the systems working together seamlessly, coordinated by the subconscious, which he saw as linked to that infinite intelligence. Harmony is the essential ingredient.
And he makes that striking point about fortunes made through cooperation having no scars on the hearts of their owners. What's the implication there?
It's a really profound ethical point, isn't it? He's suggesting that wealth, built through conflict, through crushing competitors, leaves a kind of negative residue, a psychological cost. But wealth built through genuine, harmonious cooperation, that brings not just money, but happiness, peace of mind. It's a more holistic, fulfilling way to succeed.
The story of Frank Vanderlip, the banker who started with nothing to do, seems like a great example of finding ways to cooperate.
It really is. Instead of just sitting there feeling useless, Vanderlip took the initiative, analyzed the whole bank's operation, and came up with a proactive plan to help them increase deposits. He found a way to cooperate, to add value, even when nobody asked him to. And that cooperative spirit, combined with initiative, is what propelled him to the top. He made himself indispensable through cooperation.
So, for the listener thinking about their own career or path, what's the message from this lesson?
It's really about self-analysis first. Figure out what your native ability best fits. Where can you contribute most effectively? Hill believed true success, the highest and noblest form, comes when you find work you love. Work where you can naturally inspire cooperation and bring people together harmoniously. It's about aligning your passion with collaborative action.
Okay, let's talk about something everyone faces, failure. Hill completely reframes this, calling it temporary defeat. How does he want us to view setbacks?
He wants us to see them not as endings, but as signals. Like a headache tells you something's wrong, defeat tells you your plan needs adjusting, or you need to learn something. It's feedback. He's very open about his own life, his 7 turning points that looked like total failure at the time, losing everything in a financial panic, his candy business flopping. But he insists they were crucial stepping stones, necessary detours.
What really gets me is his idea that the most valuable lessons are often forced on us through these tough times.
It's a powerful idea. He flat out says the knowledge in his course, its core value, was forced upon me through experiences most would call failures. It flips the script entirely. Adversity isn't just something to endure. It's potentially the source of your greatest wisdom, your most valuable insights. If you look for the lesson, failure becomes the teacher.
He also mentions a subconscious desire that keeps pushing you forward during these times. What's that about?
It's the sense that even when consciously you feel defeated, discouraged, there might be a deeper drive, an underlying purpose guiding you. Hill felt this another plan, pushing him towards his life's work, even when things looked bleakest. It encourages a kind of trust, maybe, that even in apparent failure, there could be a larger pattern unfolding, moving you towards where you're meant to be.
Is there one really punchy story that captures this idea of using defeat?
The Caesar story is pretty dramatic, landing his army in Britain, then immediately burning the boats.
Whoa, no turning back.
Exactly. He eliminated the possibility of retreat. It was conquer or die. He turned potential defeat into the only motivator for victory. It's an extreme metaphor for total commitment, making failure not an option.
All right, as we near the end of these principles, we hit tolerance. Hill calls intolerance a disintegrating force. What does he mean by that?
He means it literally breaks things apart. It dethrones reason, replaces it with emotional mob thinking. He saw it as the root cause of wars, religious strife, all sorts of conflict. It fundamentally prevents clear thinking, prevents harmonious cooperation, whether it's between 2 people or entire nations. It destroys the possibility of a mastermind.
And where does he think this intolerance comes from? He points to social heredity.
Right. Not physical genes, but what we absorb from our environment, our upbringing, our culture. He uses himself as an example, holding political views just because his father did, without thinking. And he gives that chilling example of the pre-WWI German Kultur movement, how an entire generation was indoctrinated with certain ideals through the education system, leading them willingly into massive conflict. Shows how powerfully beliefs can be implanted socially.
So if intolerance can be learned, socially implanted, can tolerance be taught the same way?
He believed so, yes. To end war, for example, you'd have to deliberately implant the minds of the young with the idea of peace, make the very concept of war abhorrent. But it requires, he said, the active cooperation of all those big societal influencers, schools, churches, media. The same forces that can spread intolerance have to be harnessed to spread tolerance. It's about intentional cultural shaping.
That story about the banker using toys to attract kids, and therefore parents, seems like a really clever use of understanding this social influence.
It's brilliant, isn't it? Providing free toys, play areas. The banker understood that the quickest way to the parents' goodwill and business was through the child. It shows a practical understanding of social dynamics, of how influence works through family and community ties, and using that knowledge ethically to build positive relationships.
Okay, we've covered 15 principles. Now the final one, the one that Hill says guides the use of all the others, the golden rule. What's the core concept here?
It's basically the law of reciprocity. All that we send into the lives of others comes back onto our own. Simple, but profound. Hill sees it as a universal, unvarying law, like gravity. You can't cheat it, you can't avoid it, but you can align yourself with it and use its power to create positive outcomes for yourself and others. What goes around, comes around.
But it's just like believing in it enough. Does a passive approach work?
Absolutely not. Hill is very clear. Passive attitude will bring no results. You have to actively apply it, do unto others, and you can't fake it either. He says trying to seem kind while being secretly selfish just won't work long term. Even the most ignorant person will see you for what you are. Your true character eventually shines through. Authenticity is key.
The little stories about the golden rule lawyer and the judge really brought this to life for me.
Yeah, they're great, simple examples. The lawyer helping the old man for free because of his faith, the judge dismissing cases after being moved by a song. They show how genuine acts of kindness, applying the rule actively, can lead to outcomes you'd never get through purely logical or self-interested means. It opens doors, creates goodwill.
And he even applies this golden rule thinking to the big conflict between capital and labor.
He does. He argues that conflict stems from both sides being driven by selfish motives, trying to get the most while giving the least. His proposed solution: both sides need to operate from humane and Christian principles, basically, apply the golden rule, seek fairness, provide value, treat the other side justly. He believed love and justice were the only real way to resolve those deep disputes.
So last question on this. What if you do act kindly, you follow the rule, but the other person doesn't reciprocate? What then?
Hill offers this really comforting thought. You will have profited nevertheless because of the effect of your act on your own subconscious mind.
Mm-hmm.
By choosing kindness, by acting according to the rule, you benefit internally regardless of the external reaction. You strengthen your own character, you program your own mind for positivity. You're guaranteed to benefit from that one source, yourself. It's always a win for your own development.
Wow. Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground. All 16 principles from Napoleon Hill's Law of Success, from the mastermind and having that definite chief aim, beating self-confidence and self-control, using imagination and initiative.
All the way through doing more than paid for, learning from failure, practicing tolerance, and wrapping it all up at the golden rule. It really is a complete system.
It really is. And what this deep dive shows, I think, is that these aren't just separate tips. They're all interconnected, part of a single philosophy.
Exactly. The real magic isn't in knowing one or two principles, but in applying them all, consistently, harmoniously. They build on each other, reinforce each other.
So, for you listening right now, after hearing all this, what's the big takeaway?
Well, Hill himself said, nothing is permanent except change. The world keeps changing, and we have to keep adapting and growing too. And the real learning, the real change, doesn't come from just listening to us talk about these ideas. It comes from you actively trying them out, integrating them into how you think and act every day.
So, maybe think about which one of these 16 lessons really struck a chord with you today. Which one feels most relevant to where you are right now? And how could you start applying just that one principle, maybe in a small way starting tomorrow or even right now?
Because the real challenge Hill lays down, isn't it, is to move from just knowing these truths to actually doing them, to embodying them. What new worlds, as Hill might put it, could you discover if you really committed to living by these principles? That's the question to ponder.